This is our next lesson on crime and deviance. Now we're going to move on to start to look at some of the sociological theories of crime. There's quite a few of them. In the previous lesson we looked at the biological and psychological theories. Now we're going on to the meat of it. What do sociologists think about crime and why people commit it? So we're going to learn some of the basic ideas to understand when they apply and therefore when they don't, and to think like a criminologist. The branch of sociology that deals with crime and deviance is referred to as criminology. So you're watching the news and somebody comes on as a professor of criminology, it's a type of sociologist. Keywords: primary socialisation. If you don't know what it is by now, you're in big trouble. Values and norms, same as before. Role, status, Marxist. Capitalist society, wealth, material possessions, relative deprivation, desire, conflict. Wealth, material possessions, relative deprivation, meaning being rich or poor. A capitalist society, where Marxists say we live in a capitalist society based on the acquisition, getting wealth and avoiding being poor. Right, okay. First big theory is socialisation. The idea is, if you are this kid and you are raised in this family, you may well think that criminal behaviour is normal because you have been socialised to think that. If your whole life, everybody around you has been committing crimes as if it's no big thing, that is what you will believe. So a lot of sociologists think that that is the basic cause of crime. You kids have been socialised, or communities, groups of families that just simply don't think it's a problem. They think it is normal. It doesn't violate their values. It's one of their norms because of primary socialisation. And I think we can all think there's perhaps some truth in that one. As an example, we could use the family from Shameless, and I'm pretty sure some of you, if you ever think about it, can think of some families near where you live who sort of might, to some extent, fit this bill. But we'll talk about that more in class. What's the problem with this? The problem is it doesn't explain all crime. The same thing with all these theories, none of them work for everything. So there are going to be people who have been very well socialised, very well brought up, who are still going to be criminals. This woman here, as an example, was working as a prostitute. She famously going to the newspapers because she had sex with Wayne Rooney. So, a woman working as a prostitute, has sex with a footballer. Her father was a vicar. She's from a very middle-class background. She went to a private school, etc., etc. So this socialisation example or theory doesn't really seem to work for her, and so it doesn't work for all crimes. It works for some, not others. Or on this point, an A-star bit is to think about, well, what is the function of crime? We'll talk about Marxists in a little while. But what do functionalists make to crime? Because if you think about it, crime should make no sense in the functionalist argument. To a functionalist, life's this perfect piece of clockwork machine. Therefore, crime works against that. Therefore, it can't have a function. Therefore, it shouldn't exist, but it does. Oh, my head hurts. Functionalists, having worked on this for a long time, finally come up with the idea that it helps with social cohesion. If you have got a group who are committing crime, it tells the rest of us where the line is, what is the behaviour we can and can't do. So to a functionalist, crime serves the function of telling the rest of us what we can't do. As an example of punishment, we punish the criminals, and again that tells the rest of us what we can and can't do. The other side of the coin is the Marxist. What do Marxists think of crime? So when a Marxist looks at this, a bank robbery, What do they think? To a Marxist, this makes perfect sense. In a capitalist society, success or failure is based on wealth, on acquiring wealth, becoming rich. And then, in our culture, we say to a large group of people, the working class, you can't have this money. You're the losers. Success is based on wealth, and you're the loser. You can't have the wealth. So to some members of the working class, say, well, I'll find another way of getting wealth. I won't get wealth the way you want, through working and education. I'll get wealth through stealing and crime. So to a Marxist, it makes perfect sense. It is completely rational. The word is rational. It makes sense. So bank robbery is an example. People who grow weed in houses to sell is a perfect example. In fact, the people setting up factories growing weed is probably the perfect example. This is a completely rational thing to do. People doing it are doing it for money. Money they can't get another way. We live in a culture that says money and stuff that you buy with money is the important thing, and you lot can't have it. And some of you lot are going to say, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting up with that. I'll find my own way of becoming successful, i.e. crime. Again, good theory doesn't explain all crime. It doesn't explain this. Graffiti. Graffiti, you don't gain anything by graffiti. You don't get paid for graffiti. Smashing up bus stops, roaring around on little mopeds. You don't gain anything for that. So in the next lesson, we're going to look at some other theories to explain this sort of crime. And we might have a look at that essay as well.